Okay, it says I'm and help you heal your divine feminine wounds, because this must be a big, powerful, activating topic if there's literally been the weirdest YouTube glitches for me to make this video. So welcome. Hi, I'm Dr. Amanda Noel, and I'm an ambassador of the divine feminine energy, and I help high achieving women get into their high vibrational state so they can manifest their high vibrational relationship. Okay, so what has it's interesting because I had, a nice meditation. I'm ready to go, and here we are a little bit in a activated state. So I wanted to just say thank you for answering the question. I can't remember who it was that asked it. I had it all pulled up, but the question is this: how do I heal childhood trauma? How do I heal childhood trauma? And the topic is about twin flames. And I wanted to start off with, before we go to childhood trauma, well, that is important. And while a lot of times spiritual women will want to divert attention from childhood, or even sometimes the moment now, spiritual women tend to make a mistake versus really powerful, physically successful women, women with high power jobs, women that tend to, really be grounded, will make a different type of mistake. So there's kind of two different types of women. Spiritual women will look for answers in their past lives. They'll look for the energy. They'll look for all the twin flame signs. And then a very grounded, successful woman, she might forget all of that stuff, and she might be focusing mainly on psychology. She'll be focusing mainly on picking apart the patterns that are going on in the relationship that she's in, or the relationship she's not in. Why is it me? What's wrong with me? And a lot of times she'll want to focus on the very materialistic things, like doing her hair or getting her career together and getting her her home and her appearance looking really good, the physical appearance. So while that's not something that we want to ignore, we don't want to look like we don't care about the physical world and just, be in the spiritual state and not be good citizens, not take care of our health, not have a beautiful appearance, because really it's about both. So what I wanted to say is that when we're looking at trauma and healing, pain that can block us from calling in our twin flame, which is so important. If you have not aligned with your twin flame, if you are in one of those situations where you're pining for someone, every night you're thinking about them before you go to bed because you feel this deep connection and you're not with them, this video is for you. It's for women who have something going on that does not feel really great in their love life, and they want to connect deeper. They want a physical and intimate, emotional, spiritual, embodied relationship. This video is not for women that don't care about embodiment. It's not for the women that just want a spiritual, psychic attachment to someone who wants nothing to do with them in the physical world. I have worked with many women who have almost a psychic marriage with someone who is not even responding to their texts, who wants nothing to do with them in the physical world. And this situation can be very, very painful, and it's, I guarantee it, always connected to an early childhood trauma. And we have a trauma sound, big truck coming by, so let's all set the intention that any known or unknown trauma that may come up even during this video, as I walk you through a process of how to approach your trauma, not necessarily to clear it, but let's make an intention that some of these old codes and patterns and stuck energies, or even entities, can start to clear. Sometimes just talking about trauma, sometimes just talking about change and changing the course that you're on now can bring in this part of us that just wants to lock into the pattern. That's the thing about changing trauma. That's the thing about patterns, is they come from familiarity, familiarity. They come from not only our families, but our familiar experiences that we've been through. And when we talk about changing an early childhood trauma, it's like changing the course of the trauma. We have a very specific track, just like this garbage truck down here. I guess it's holistic garbage truck because it has a beautiful picture of a coral reef on it. But you know, it's got a track. It's used to going through from a specific neighborhood to neighborhood and picking up the trash. And this is a great metaphor for when we go through an early childhood trauma. It's almost like the garbage truck has a specific track that it needs to clear up. When, say, like myself, I was verbally abused as a child by a teacher, you know, shamed me publicly. It was very, very, you know, painful to my little 4-year-old, or 5-year-old. What happened is that in my brain, I got certain pathways set up. And so that garbage truck needs to come through and clear that. And so there's a very clearly mapped course that was set when I was 5. So as we change the trauma, the plastic in our brain, you know, we have plasticity, neuroplasticity, things start to change. Oh my goodness, it's like the garbage truck is like, where do I go? I don't know. So now the garbage truck is gone, and boy, that was kind of intense. My nervous system didn't like that. And let's see if we can get a little bit closer. Sorry, you're gonna miss out on the flowers because apparently the internet is having some issues today. So trauma comes from our past lives, but before then it comes from the very creation of the universe. And this is something that I need to start talking about more. Here, I'll give you some flower views. The beginning of the universe, that's where we want to start working. If you're a twin flame, yes, you want to work on your childhood wounds. We work on working with the mother wound, the father wound, all kinds of different wounds when I work with my clients, when Jack and I work together with our clients. However, we always start with the twin flame separation, which was the original separation of the feminine mother and the masculine father, God, goddess. So we bring our clients through a journey, like we did during one of our recent retreats, of going through the myth of the twin flames, or really the beginning of the universe and the cosmos. So where you'll want to start when you're looking at trauma is not just your individual experience, but the story of the separation of the twin flames. So I'm going to do that in another video. I do feel it's very important. But what I want to urge you to understand is that your individual experience, as much as you might blame yourself, like we all do, as much shame as you hold for, oh, I haven't figured this out in my life. God, you know, I've been dealing with this for 38 years and I've gone to all these therapists and I've done all this work and, you know, I've done a lot of meditation and I'm still not with my twin flame, or I'm still dysfunctional in my relationships to some degree, or I'm still, you know, on one hand feeling too good for men, and on the other hand, gosh, why can't I figure this stuff out? Everybody else is married, and I figure this stuff out. Everybody else is married, and I'm unhappy. We have a collective wound that is touching everybody in a unique way. So I'm going to say that again. We have a collective wound that is touching everyone in a unique way. Help you to release that guilt and shame for having wounds. This is part of the understanding of twin flames, as we have to love and forgive and heal ourselves as we love, heal, and forgive the Divine Mother, Divine Father, twin flame union. Because in this universe, in the multiverse, the infinite creation, there is only one, right? On one hand, there's, you know, there's you, there's me, there's that flower over there, and there's that universe down the street. And in oneness, there's oneness. In oneness, there's oneness. So what we have is we have a trauma that we are, in a certain sense, in this timeline, because there's an infinite line where there is no trauma. There is a timeline where it's just heavenly. But on Earth, we are here integrating an experience of the birth of the universe. That was a traumatic birth. And the summary of it is that the twin flames were one, and I'm going to give you another video at some point. I don't know when it's time. But the separation of the twin flames, and this is where twin flame separation wounds come from, is the feminine and masculine were one thing. They were androgynous, hermaphrodite. And yin yang was one thing. There was no separation. And then this splits into mother, father, God, the original twin flames. And then from there, they had their children, they created the entire cosmos. But then in that infinite creation, the universe goes, I have yin and yang, I have male and female, and that understanding of division, just like a mathematician, when you're in, what is it, maybe third grade, you start learning about multiplication and division. The universe started learning about, I can multiply myself, I can divide, I can do all this stuff. And in the division, we realized we can divide in two. Mother, Father, God said, I can divide in two. And in the two, we divided into male and female again. So then you have the separate twins, which could be beautiful, but it could also bring in the polarity of destruction and darkness and violence and attacking each other. And if you've never been in a twin flame relationship, let me tell you, that doesn't go away. There are conversations that, Jack and I will have every once in a while where we realize, we're bringing out this primal attack. No, I don't want that furniture to go there. No, that's going to be really bad. And we're like, coming from, we have to come back and say, well, okay, you like the bookshelf over there. I like it over here. Well, why do you like it there? Okay, let's come to an understanding or a compromise. Or maybe this week we'll have the bookshelf here and then next week. But when you're in a relationship with an other, you bring in the aspect of the other. That's the duality, the two-ality, the twin flame mirror. And the Christ consciousness is really coming into that full understanding that something outside of yourself, your mirror, even when it shows up in total polarity to yourself, is still you. So I'm going to give an example of a client that I recently, of course, keep her information confidential. Very sure that she was ready for a change. She'd been pining after someone for maybe decades that she thought was her twin flame, because they had all the signs in the spiritual world, but not in the physical world. In the spiritual world, they had all the signs. The physical world, they had kissed, and then he didn't follow up. And he was a very famous, successful spiritual entrepreneur, had lots of ladies following him, and she felt that this was her twin flame, regardless of the fact that he wasn't calling her up. He wasn't responding to her email messages. And she'd pretty much given up on pursuing him in the physical world. She was wanting to manifest him spiritually. And I let her know that while this is very romantic, it's very romantic to have a spiritual connection to someone. If they are physically unresponsive and you have worked for a long time on the spiritual realm, it's actually coming usually from a childhood dysfunction pattern, a wound, and a trauma. And I asked her about her history, and she said, oh, yeah, one of my parents tried to kill me when I was a child. And so we actually did the deep healing work, and we cleared out a memory that she had never fully healed to the level of empowerment. She had done some work on it. She'd worked on it, in fact, for many years, but she never got to the level of empowerment of understanding why her soul took on an attempted murder by her parent. And so once she healed that, she came in with a very empowered sense of the father and mother in her. And she learned or started to learn in this powerful session how to re-mother and re-father this little girl that had been shut down, choked. And so by the end of the session, she was like, you know what? I'm still a little bit obsessed about this guy, but I'm going to not let it stop me. I'm going to not let anybody ignore me anymore. Even if I think they're God, the most sexy man alive, if he's not showing the signs of commitment, my little girl needs connection and commitment. And as terrified as she was, she agreed to do the homework of meeting 3 available bachelors, conscious men who not only were on paper attractive, she wanted the spiritual teacher, she wanted the good-looking guy, someone she felt like chemistry with. I told her to look for men that could just hold a conversation, that could connect with her, that could be available. And so healing that inner child trauma and healing that not only past life trauma, but the entire relationship that we have to Divine Mother and Divine Father, this needs to be worked on all levels. And part of it is befriending the mirrors in our lives that are showing separation and that are showing us pain. So in your life, if you are feeling a painful connection with someone, or a mixed connection where you feel this ecstatic joy, maybe you feel so much love in your heart, and yet they're not showing up for you. This is a classic sign of a wound that needs to be abandonment trauma, separation trauma. So when we have separation trauma, it usually stems from the beginning of time, where the feminine and masculine were twin flames, and then they got separated, and the masculine wound did not become abandonment. His wound was not abandonment. It was fear of being smothered, engorged, engulfed by the feminine. And so his natural propensity is to polarize out into the universe. And to, even though he feels a desire to connect to the mother goddess, his twin flame bride, his fear pushes him away. Her fear, on the other hand, polar opposite to that, wants to magnetize them back in, so they go through this tug of war. So if you're looking in the mirror in your twin flame separation phase, you're looking at your life and men are running from you. Partners are showing up and then bouncing. Then there is definitely an early childhood wound, a trauma that needs healing. And there's certainly a connection to that trauma, to all of your past lives until the beginning of time. And the foundation of it does come from this holographic mirror of the twin flame, Father, Mother, God separation. So we twin flames, and just any conscious being who wants to heal the planet, twin flame, Father, Mother, God. So as we want to heal not only our planet needs us, we want to heal the creator who's creating this planet, that is us, through our divine creator. We're little microcosms of the divine creator, and divine creator in this timeline holds memory, Akashic record, debris from the Big Bang, from the beginning of the universe, when things got separated, and now we're putting them back together. But in the putting it back together, we have trauma there. It's like, if you're going to go through a car crash and, one of your limbs gets cut, deep cut, you actually have to heal the trauma of that cut. You can't just smush it back together. You have to clear the infection. You have to, examine the wound. You have to understand what's there. And from that diagnosis, then you take action. It's not about, okay, I'm going to sit down because I feel like this might work. It's really not so much about finding your twin flame, forcing someone you have a crush on, or some people say, I don't have a crush, I have a divine union with this person, but they're not showing up for you. Or, it's this crush you have on somebody at work, and you eye them, and there starts to be a projection because they come to you in your sleep, because you see the number 1111 all the time, because you have had very interesting synchronicities or even guidance from angels. The spiritual world is a mystery. It's beautiful. And we wouldn't... Come on, connection. You can do it. To heal our trauma, we are back. Looks like we're back. Let's hope. Okay, so what we need to do to heal our trauma. So the question is, how do I heal my childhood trauma to attract my twin flame? There are a lot of different methods, and there are a lot of different levels. It's not cut and dry. It's not simple. It's not step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are systems that do support my clients that I use, and certainly there's no one size fits all. the biggest challenge I would say to get through is helping women understand that they have trauma, and helping women disconnect from an obsession that is like heroin. A lot of women believe someone's their twin flame because that gives them a heroin-like connection to a false feeling of safety. And so a woman who's truly going to be ready for her twin flame is going to be able to let go of all addictions, attachments. Not easy, right? We all have struggles with our, I have addictions to being stuck to the couch. You know, I can go back and forth between being a yoga goddess to like, just meditate. We all have vices, and some vices are more severe than others, and some of you have experienced childhoods that are heavier than others. What I would say to someone who has extreme childhood trauma that has not been addressed is do not focus on calling in your twin flame first. That will create more mirrors of trauma that will make it harder to. So women who have, not reacted very well to their childhoods and have all kinds of signs of dysfunction in their lives, unhealthy relationships to food, sugar addiction, binge eating, eating disorders, definitely work on healing the self and self-love. And for me, what has worked, and I'll tell you, I did work with many psychologists. Both my parents were psychologists. I started in seeing shrinks in my senior years of high school. So someone's saying DF is not responding and avoiding. So I'm going to call this out right now, Addie. That's your trauma that's not responding. That's your trauma that's not responding. So if you were to focus on your trauma and healing what we're talking about here, you wouldn't care happening between someone you're labeling as your so-and-so. That label you're giving to, who is the twin flame. So what my message is to you, if you really want to connect with a healthy and sacred union that's not based on addiction or trauma, is to heal your trauma and to begin this path and to pull focus away from your union. So Overseas Life is saying, how do I make my union faster? Heal your trauma. You're caring about your union because it's like mommy and daddy left me, or something is happening in your 2-year-old self, your 5-year-old self. There's something that's not been healed. That's what's really happening. And that is linking back to all of your past lives when you're burnt on a cross, or when you were kicked out, you spoke up your truth in a past life. So these imprints are going back and back. And these patterns are so detailed and yet mathematical equations. When I see, as a shaman, when I see the patterns, it's like they lock onto each other. They fit onto each other like, when you're doing art and it's like, oh, these things go together. It's like their radical shape and resonance and color and sound. It's like we create these beautiful patterns of all this trauma from our lifetimes. This lifetime, our early childhood, maps out into our future, into these potential people that we could be with or that we've been with, but we can heal the toxic patterns and make them harmonious with what we want now. The problem is the patterns that in separation, they're in harmony with toxic past, with traumatic past. So if you're not happy now, if you're not in resonance now with what you want, there's a resonance to a past that was painful. And that is okay. That is okay because you can heal it. You can empower yourself. And then you can call in your beloved. But the problem is most women want to call in their beloved before they do this deep healing. And you know why it's so hard to, and I want to convince anybody to do this work, because convincing you is like, I'm trying to fix you, and then that creates kind of another level of trauma for me. I'm trying to convince women to heal themselves who don't want to be healed. then that's going to come from my childhood wound when I was trying to heal my mother, my father, my brother, the kids around me, in order to feel safe in the world. So I no longer do that. I used to do this work. So how to do the work, and thank you for showing up and asking them, how to do the work is actually not as important as deciding to do the work. And I got chills when I saw that, so I'm going to say that again. How to do the work is not as important as deciding to do the work. And I know a lot of you are like, but I have been doing the work, Dr. Amanda Noel. I've been doing it. I've been showing up to these live streams, and, you know, I've been doing everything I can with counselors or things. And what I would say to you who have been on a path for a long time is you probably have decided, it's like deciding to get pregnant, but not actually like going for it with your partner and like, we're doing this, you know, it's like almost pregnant. There's no such thing as almost pregnant. So you haven't possibly fully decided to heal yourself. And I know this sounds, how do I say this? This is kind of like channeled state, and then there are all these like turkeys walking by. Very cool. So the how, again, important than being willing to do whatever it takes to heal yourself, to heal yourself, to love and know thyself. So that is the number one secret to healing twin flame separation, is the full commitment to know, heal, and love thyself. Heal and love thyself. And in order to know ourselves, we have to know our trauma, because there is a relationship between our true selves and our trauma. I talk about this when I talk about the sacred wound. Your sacred wound, the wound that you've been taking on this lifetime and that lifetime since the beginning of time, your sacred wound, and I do help women address this wound in my course, Identify and Bust Your Twin Flame Love Blocks. The sacred wound, and I'll need to do some more videos about this, and I'll let you know how you can access that course at some point. And I think it's actually on my services page. So dramandanoel.com/services. I think it's part of one of our bonuses. So we'll be releasing it at some point as like an official release. But you can check it out if you're like, I need to know my sacred wound. What is my sacred wound that's been infecting me from past lives, this lifetime, back to the beginning of time? So the sacred wound is going to show up in different lifetimes in slightly different ways, but it's the essence of your soul in the form of a wound. Your sacred wound is the essence of your soul in the form of a wound. And the sacred wound holds a lot of it. Let's see if we can get internet. Come on, internet. We can do this. So the most common form for females, the divine feminine wound, is abandonment. And so herein lies the answer, my friend, of how do I heal myself, is to stop abandoning yourself by chasing after your twin flame, chasing after the mirror. Instead, finding yourself and birthing your twin flame from yourself. So that's the biggest piece, to know thyself and to heal that abandonment wound. And to heal is, it's a complicated journey for some people, but the underlying thing, to keep it really simple, one word, to heal thyself, is love. Love. Amor vincit omnia. Love heals all. And the biggest problem is, and why women hire me and work with me after knowing this secret for some time, and why women suffer for decades single, they even lose, they want to have children, they miss out on their reproductive window, and why they stay in years of obsession over a twin flame who's not there for them. Even though they know that love is the answer, they go unconscious and let their traumas win instead of focusing on the love and being in the love. And because we haven't had a role model of a woman, you know, fully. I know my mom is a great role model. I think compared to so many other women, she still struggled herself. You know, even though she's a therapist, she still would put herself down, and still catch her at times when I go visit her. You know, she'll put herself down. So it looks like it's time to wrap up this video. To know thyself, they must identify your big wound, what I call the sacred wound. This is going to give you a healing clue and help you understand what needs to be done, and also your power. It's kind of like know your power animal, or know your superpower. And so it's kind of like, okay, your kryptonite and your superpower are one thing. You got to diagnose that, and then heal with love. And the divine feminine wound, as I said, that creates twin flame separation is abandonment. And most women abandon themselves over and over and over again, looking for Prince Charming and those fairy tales that Disney told us and that society told us, if we're just good enough, if we're pretty enough, if we're, you know, we work hard enough, we'll you know, we'll go to heaven with our twin flame. You know, the angry God will somehow just like love us and give us this heavenly relationship. And it's absolutely not true. It does not work that way. It's your twin flame. So let me wrap this up because the internet keeps pooping out. It's important. Your twin flame will show up in the twin flame mirror. He or she will be reflected out. And instead of having a mirror of trauma wounds and separation, where you've got this polarized split of someone who's not wanting to be with you, or someone that you don't want to be with, and there's a back and forth and a lot of dysfunction, it will mirror your sacred love. So thank you for liking this video and joining me. It's been a journey just getting internet. I don't know what's going on. We've had perfect internet every other time that we've been here, but it is what it is. Thanks for bearing with me, and yay, 33 minutes and 33 seconds. All right. So we do have an upcoming new moon. I wanted to let you know on October 8th, we'll be focusing on actually a lot of self-love topics with beauty, and there will be a guest speaker I'm really excited to announce, and I'll be giving you a talk on how to unlock the beauty of your sacred chalice, to really appreciate your womb space, your yoni, and do a lot of forgiveness in our sacred sensuality. So join us 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll put the link below, aphroditeuniversity.org/new-moon. And the other piece is we just released a video on Sunday that is really, really helpful for those of you who are on the search for your twin flame. You want to know about the energy of Venus. Venus is our god, goddess of love, life force energy. She, the planet, represents not only sacred union, but the heart space. There's a really important need for healing the heart space at this time. Check out our YouTube video, my YouTube video, on not yesterday, but the day before, 2 days ago on Sunday. And there's a really awesome special promotion. We're offering one of our courses that's normally not available at this rate for a really super good deal, and there's still a few coupon codes available. So if you are going through a big awakening right now, it could be because we're about to hit this Venus retrograde. You'll want to know about that. So check that out, and I'll put that in the description box as well as your invitation to the new moon. All right, my sisters, thank you so much for joining. And if there are any brothers here as well, thank you for joining. You're always welcome. And we are the union. Don't forget, you cannot escape the union. We can have amnesia. We can forget that we are one and that we are whole. But don't forget, remember, that's all it takes. And remembering comes from putting together, remembering the love. Just remember the love. All right, much love. I'm gonna end this video with a big kiss. Namaste. Namasko.